Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Podcast with an Accent. I'm your host, Vadim Gulick, and today I have a pleasure to have Dr. Vinnie Monaco with us. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, Vadim.
Dr. Vinnie Monaco is a chiropractor of 30 years. He is a comedian. He is also a Aliveness coach, and we're going to dig deeper into who you are. And why don't we start off with the first question? What's your accent? What accent do you speak with?
It depends on the audience. Well, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from New York originally, so I have a bit of that New York twang. Although I play around with it, there's times people go, "Oh, especially in living in Australia, people think you're on holiday. So, oh, are you on holiday? No, I live here. Well, where's your accent from? I was like, well, I just got it in 2 weeks ago. Do you like it? And they're like, what? I said, yeah, I ordered it online and it just came in 2 weeks ago. I'm trying it out. Do you like it? That's the way of playing with people.
Nice, nice. What's your big why?
What's my big why?
Yes, what's your big why? Why you are who you are and you do what you do?
That is a fantastic question. What is the big why? I don't know. Well, in asking that question, what is the big why? From the time I was little, I just love to laugh and I love to play and I love to make people laugh, which is what got me curious about humor and comedy. And over the years with being a chiropractor, which sometimes sounds a bit more serious, I would find that would help patients move through whatever they had going on. Was that when you can make them laugh, it temporarily suspends their mindset. So my big why is, why are we here on this planet? To me, I'm here to play. Like, we got a big playground, and who wants to play?
Loving it. Well, let's play. Tell us what's your story?
Cool. My story. Well, I started out as a little embryo.
So as most of us, yeah.
That's true. Well, if we look at it, we all started off with this mostly perfectly formed little being. And we don't remember that time, yet you see pictures and we're all lit up and curious about the world. And then the adults get a hold of us. A little, we get formed into fitting into that world. And then we go to school and we get formed again to fit into that world. And then we look at it going, does anybody really fit in anywhere? And most of the people I've asked that question to, nobody fits in. Yet we have this illusion that we're trying to fit in so that we can be accepted. And it's like one person had said, it's like an eagle and you were born and you were hatched in a chicken coop.
Mm-hmm.
You don't fit in with all the other chickens. And yet you're like, and then we're trying to be accepted. But as an eagle, you cannot be accepted by chickens. You find the group that you're meant to be with, and it doesn't mean that you have to be with your family. Although that's what we are all, that helps us survive. Later on, you just go, how many people really fit in with their family? Not many. How many people really fit in with their colleagues if they're in a certain profession? Not really. So there's and that's part of the reason of my tour. It's, where does anybody fit in? What is their tribe? What is the group that, are fans of them? And the only way we find that out, we have to venture out of the comfort zone and people that, we've been waiting for you to show up.
What's your inspiration?
My inspiration, that is another great question. Different things inspire me at different times. I'm mostly inspired by people and inspired by their stories. I love, especially when patients would come in And the initial visit, which is going over the case history, and even though they filled out the form, I would put the form aside and just ask them, so tell me about you. What's been going on in your life? What's working? What's not working? And I just find each person's biography or autobiography just fascinating, like the trials and tribulations. And even when stuff got really hard and it didn't look like they were going to make it, somehow, some way, they survived another day. And so that inspires me. I love anyone who overcome the odds and created a magnificent life for themselves.
Loving it. Loving it. Totally follow you on the story part. Does your life at this moment, does it look like what you envision it to be in your early 20s?
No. Nothing like in my early 20s, I was still in college, and my vision then was I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to be in movies and, be on talk shows, and that didn't happen. And it's not that I didn't try. I did take acting lessons, did go on auditions. It's like there was another path. And there's times that especially as I hit 40, and then when I hit 50, that realization that idea didn't manifest, it was very depressing. And many times we look in life we focus on what we don't get rather than what we have. And the more we focus on what we don't have, that creates a downward spiral.
Surely does.
Yeah, in one of the workshops, a woman said that she realized that there were a few little things that were really wonderful that had happened to her. It was like a day or two before the workshop, but it was at the workshop she got this realization. And there was one bad thing that took about maybe 15 to 30 seconds that upset her. But her whole week was ruined by that 15 to 30-second event. And she forgot about all the other little things that were really beneficial or lovely. And I said, that's it. The mindset that we have looks at all the bad and stacks them all up. So we have like this whole pile of, dishes, dirty dishes that, to see, this proves I'm unworthy. This proves I'm terrible. I'm unlovable. Yet, if we look at the little bits of things that might be beneficial, the mind doesn't count that. It's like, we've been trained to think poorly of ourselves and poorly of our achievements.
I think Tony Robbins said, you should stop being afraid about what's not going to happen and start being excited about what might actually happen. I'm sure I'm paraphrasing, but that's the point. Stop thinking about the negative aspects and be excited about, all that's going to come true, all the exciting parts. But I'm glad that you're bringing out, the positivity and make people actually focus on what's positive, what's good.
Absolutely. And also adding on to what Tony had said, I mean, you look what Tony Robbins has accomplished, you look at, how he transformed himself and his life and millions of others. There's also, most people don't move in the direction of what they were born to do because of past programming, past beliefs, etc. And what's also true is as you move towards being who you are and doing what you do, there's a fear there too. So you have, it's almost like we're sandwiched between these two fears. One is, what's the worst case scenario? I'm going to get some tropical disease and I'm going to die a painful death and nothing's going to work out. That's one area that the mind does. Then as you're starting to move towards what you're meant to do, the mind kicks in again and goes, who are you? What's going to, it's, and so many times most human beings live in this comfort zone, and it may move in and out, but not everybody fully gets on the other side of that. And the guards of that are anxiety, fear. So that was that thing. Find what scares you the most, and like hell towards it.
Well, you gotta dance with it. You gotta dance with it.
That's right. It is dancing with the fear. Yes.
What advice would you give your younger self?
It's interesting you use the word advice. In years past, when I would talk to patients, I would give them advice. And what I found, when you give someone advice, they don't usually follow it. Or they also are pissed off that you're giving them the advice. So what I do now is, rather than give advice, I ask, where would they like to go? What they would like to do? So if I were to talk to the 20-year-old, I would ask, so what's the big dream? The big dream is be a box office movie star, etc. Okay, that's great. And if it didn't work out exactly that way, what other ways could you still express that desire?
What's the best story from your life that has a valuable message?
I got asked to entertain, so I show up, and I had 15 minutes, half an hour of material, jokes that I can tell at a bachelor party. And I've done it, so I was a career. And in assessing the situation, I should have not taken the money and just left, because it was a setup for failure. When I got there, the air conditioning and refrigeration was not working. So it was during summertime, very hot, and no air conditioning. So, and also the beer was warm. Then they had the PA system of the bar that they were having in it wasn't working. So they had this little rinky-dink, that you would use for your computer. This is in the 90s. It was before all the little rinky-dink. Actually, it was in the 80s. It was a little rinky-dink speaker with a microphone that you couldn't hear anything. And so all the guys were expecting a stripper, not a comedian. And so they can't hear me. They don't want to listen to me because they're waiting to see a stripper. And I mean, knowing the situation now, there's things I could have done differently, but I just did not go over. The material didn't go over. And I was supposed to MC for the father of the bride. The father was going to do speeches. They come up and they're just, saying a couple of jokes. They got better, and they go, "We're funnier than him." They threatened to take the money and whatnot. And I should have just left, but I stayed, finished what I had to do, and just held my dignity, and then just walked out. But after that, I didn't want to go on stage for like weeks, because it just was it was a literal attack. But in hindsight, and also as the chiropractor healer, I can see everyone didn't get what they wanted. They had an expectation that didn't get met, and I became the what do you call it, the fodder. I became the thing to blame, to attack, just so they could release all their frustration.
And how did you go about going back on stage?
Well, because a few friends had just said, "Listen, that's one." Because you get an experience like that, and then you believe that. This is where the mind becomes our enemy. You believe that experience, and their opinion is more valid than your own. And it's just like, no, they're a bad audience. There was a setup that they didn't want to have fun. I took it personally. So like, was it Don Miguel Ruiz in his book, The Four Agreements? And he said, one of the four agreements is keep your word. Number two, don't never take anything personally, because it has nothing to do with you. I remember another time with, when I was first going onto a professional comedy club stage, there were a bunch of rules. This was at the Improvisation Club in Manhattan. You had to go online and then put your name on a list. Then you had to come back later on in the afternoon, and then they gave out numbers. And they only give out, I think it was 23 numbers. It looked like it wasn't going to be fun, and I was ready to give up. And I was with my fraternity brothers from college. And one of them, my good friend Mark, he just said, we came down here to support you. We came on it because we love you and we want to see you on stage. If you want this, we're here to make sure you get this. And it was just like, just hearing that, it was like, I felt, because I was ready to give up, because it just, and he said, you're letting the circumstances dictate. And so we stayed there, and then I wasn't going to get a number, and there was another comedian from New Jersey who befriended us, and he was a real alpha male. And when they were going to give out the numbers, he went to the guy that's giving out the numbers. He goes, my friend Vinny from Connecticut is here. He's been waiting. That's his number, and I got the last number. So sometimes it seems darkest, as I say, it's darkest before the dawn. Many times it feels like everything's going to fall, and it may need to even completely fall to pieces before it look like it's no way it's going to. And lo and behold, that last bit is where someone or something will shift enough, and then poof, a whole other realm opens up, and you can't figure it out.
I was always saying, if you don't get out and do something, start doing something, you'll never see where it leads you to. You'll never miss out on, missed opportunities, but you'll never find out, It's not gonna hurt, but you'll never find out what could have happened.
That's right. And you know what? That happens so often, and I've fallen into that so many times. Like with the comedy business, I've been in and out of it so many times, and more out of it than in it. And usually some situation will happen, and I'll bail. And many times it's because there's not that someone there to just encourage you to take the next step. So here's where I saw that having a coach, having someone, there that wants you to succeed and wants to make sure, to kick your butt when it needs to be kicked, to calm you down when you're off the rails, and just go, hey, wait a minute, who are you really? You're better than this. You're more than this. If we look at top athletes, if we look at top performers, they have coaches. They have people around them that constantly give them that feedback, because once they're in the limelight and they're at the top of their game, there's a whole bunch of other people that show up that want to knock them off.
What's your favorite book and why?
Oh, man, there are so many books that have touched my life. I'd say the one that pops to the top of my head right now is the Alchemist. Have you ever read The Alchemist?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember. I think Paulo Coelho wrote that book. Basically, the gist of the book is this guy sets out because he wants to find his fortune. And he leaves his house and he travels all over the world. And there's all these different things that he gets along the way. And what's interesting is you follow the book, and then he ends up back to where he started, and the treasure is in his backyard. The normal mindset, the pragmatic mindset would go, what an idiot. All he had to do was dig up in his backyard, and he would have found the damn treasure, and he would have saved himself. We wouldn't have had to read the whole book. It's just in the backyard, it'd been a pamphlet, And what I see in it, it's not the fact that he found the treasure. It's who he became on the journey. And so life is really this amazing journey of rediscovery, reawakening, and reorganizing. And it's almost like we had that spirit, all right, when we were first conceived, right? It's conceived in love, conceived in this energy. And as a little baby, everyone has it. You can see it. And then we were taught to not be that, taught to become something other than that. And yet that we got it. It's there. It's just a matter of can we remember it? Can we be brought back in tune with it? And I'd say that's what I see my mission is just rekindling or reigniting.
What's your favorite quote?
Will Rogers, it's one of the quotes, he goes, most people work at a job that they don't enjoy, to get money to spend that they don't have, to buy things that they don't need, to impress people that they don't even like.
Deep.
That's one of the quotes. I also love some quotes by Groucho Marx, where Groucho said, "I refuse to join a club that will have me as one of its members."
Dr. Vinnie, last question. One more question before we wrap up. What turns you on?
When people are enjoying themselves. So I love watching people get a spark in their eye. So if I'm chatting with someone and they discover their puzzle, an aspect of themselves that they didn't realize, and all of a sudden there's a spark, that turns me on. If I see someone who said a joke and it was incredibly funny, that turns me on. Food, real home cooked, where you can taste the love, that turns me on. Women turn me on, especially women that are enjoying being themselves, enjoy their movement. That turns me on. When I see little kids playing and just, that laughter. Like there's a clip also of little babies, the father's ripping a piece of paper. I don't know if there's like the triplets or quadruplets, whatever it is, and they're all just giggling. That just, it just opens my heart. It makes me feel light. And you go, that's really what life's all about. I love when I'm turned on, where my heart opens up and I feel that lightness, like the soul or the spirit.
What's the best way for people to find you online?
Well, they can go to my website, www.drvinniemonaco.com. That's like the quickest way. If they want to email me, they can email me at drvinniemonaco@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for being with us today. This ends the episode. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. It was a pleasure.
It was an honor, and you're a very good host, and I love the questions. You ask very deep, penetrating questions. They're not superficial. You have to stop and contemplate them, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for the conversation, Dr. Vinnie.